everybody. In this video we are going to evaluate some circular functions. So here we go. Now, just as a refresher, these are our 6 circular functions, which are basically our trig functions defined on the unit circle. Now remember, in our unit circle, our angle measure theta and our arc length s are actually the same. So s happens to be equal to theta, so sine or cosine can be defined either in terms of theta or s. Here we're defining them in terms of s, and we know that sine of s is going to be the y-coordinate, cosine of s is going to be the x-coordinate, tangent is going to be the ratio between of y to x for those cases where x is not equal to 0, and here we have our reciprocal functions. And notice here that both s and theta can be defined on the entire real line. Now, when you are evaluating trig functions, particularly when you're using a calculator, there are 2 approaches that you can use. One is to just making sure that your calculator is in radians mode, or you can convert to degrees. Okay, since we are typically more comfortable working with degrees than we are radians, and then calculate from there. Now, in the 3 or so examples I have here, we will be using each of these approaches, but none of them require the use of a calculator. Instead, they require the use of a unit circle. So here is our unit circle, and what you'll notice here is that we have our 3 special angles here, and then from those 3 special angles, we can actually use the reference arc or the symmetry property of the circular function to define these angles as well. Okay, based upon that, if this point is here, then this point, and this point will also be on the circle. And for this particular problem, we want to use this circle to find the exact values of sine 4 pi over 3 and cosine 4 pi over 3. So the way we're going to do that is we are going to travel along the circle until we find that particular point, which is right here, 4 pi over 3. Okay, and then this right here is x, which is what cosine of 4 pi over 3 is, and this right here is y, which is what sine of 4 pi over 3 is. Let's remember, cosine of s is going to be x, and sine of s is going to be y, and that's s. So we have that the sine of 4 pi over 3 is equal to the negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay, and this right here is the exact value. If you tried to compute this on your calculator and write down whatever your calculator gave you, that would be an approximation. This is the exact value. Okay, and then the cosine of 4 pi over 3 is equal to negative 1/2. And there we go. That takes care of one problem. For our next problem, we want to find the tangent of negative 9 pi over 4. Now, there's a problem here because, well, there is no negative 9 pi over 4 here. We need to figure out where that might be. Okay, and perhaps this is one of those situations where it might be easier to convert this angle into degrees and then see what we have to work with. So let's go ahead and do that. Negative 9 pi over 4. To convert that into degrees, we need to multiply this by 180 divided by pi. Fortunately, the pi's cancel, and when we compute everything else, we are going to have negative 405 degrees. Okay, now we want to find a number between 0 and 360 because that's actually what we have here. So we need to find some coterminal angles. Now the way that we can do that is we can take negative 405 and divide it by 360. So let's go ahead and do that. Negative 405 divided by 360. Okay, get rid of the whole number there. We only want to deal with the fraction here, so let's add 1 to both sides to get that fraction away, or to get the whole part away, and then multiply the decimal part by 360. And that gives me negative 45 degrees. So negative 405 is coterminal with negative 45 degrees. Now, does that really help us? Well, it kind of does, because we can start here, and then we can go negative 45 degrees in this particular direction. And that will bring us down to here, 315. And indeed, 360 minus 45 is indeed equal to 315 degrees. So it turns out that the tangent of negative 9 pi over 4 is equal to the tangent of 315 degrees, once again, right here. And that is going to be equal to y divided by x. Well, this is y, and this is x. So that tells us that the tangent of negative 9 pi over 4, which once again is equal to the tangent of 315, is going to be equal to negative root 2 over 2 divided by, well, just root 2 over 2, which will give us negative 1, which is the answer that we are looking for. And this brings us to the last problem that we want to talk about in this particular video, and that is to use our reference angles, basically just to use our reference angles to find the exact value of sine 11 pi divided by 6. And we really don't need to do that. What we can do is just come through our unit circle here and look over here. Here we have 11 pi divided by 6. This right here is x. This right here is y, which, by the way, is equal to sine. Okay, so this is going to be equal to negative 1/2. And that is all that I have for this particular video. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. This is Bob Boyle, signing off.